Okay, hello. So today I'm doing the final part of my Go series. It's final because I'm actually starting my new job tomorrow. Uh, I don't have too much kind of like, yeah, this is going to be like parasocial section. Um, I'm starting my job tomorrow. Uh, I don't know how much that's going to affect my like YouTube and stuff. So I don't have any any plans or anything that I can say right now. Um, I didn't say yet, by the way, where I'm going to work, and I think I will keep it like that for a moment. Some people asked if it's for sale. No, it's not. um, and yeah, so that's why it's the last part. That's like my last days in between jobs. And in terms of what I'm actually doing, this is the repo. I already have 44 stars, which is pretty cool. The idea is to use Go to generate to do what kind of like React Server components do. And the one simple way of thinking about it is that React Server components generate client app that you can render with React. And I'm generating that client app with Go, and I can use it in React. And I have this web page that I just like started. And the idea is that it's all written in Go. So if you go to internal routes, I think. So you start with like, hey, this is my RSC stuff. So it starts with a where is it? Page, right? So page is HTML tag. So you have like full control over your whole document, not like in Next where you have to use like layouts and all of that stuff. So you start from the top, which technically means you don't have to start from the top. If you have like a section, you can do it as a section as well, but it was easier if you start from the top. So you can send like head. Those are like the framework scripts that you need, React and stuff. And then you have like a body, and the body is a div that has like a nav, right? So like all of those links. And then it has an island. So this is like the old style. I rewrote it a bit, but the idea behind island is that you have kind of like named component. So there's basically like a counter.js somewhere. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Where is it? Islands. Yeah, this one, right? So this is a completely kind of like client-side React component that can get props from the server. So this server counter is the value that I send from the server. And if on the server I increase that counter, my client component gets this new value kind of like automatically while still preserving the state. So if I click around and I navigate between pages, right? So like I'm getting updates from the server, but I still keep my client stuff preserved. And I don't do SSR, so just to name things. So when you go to PHP website, you're not doing SSR. You're doing dynamic rendering or like server rendering. You're not doing server-side client rendering, right? You're not taking client application that is usually like working with DOM and you're like trying to generate a string from it. You're just going from your model controllers and all that stuff to string. So there is no there is no kind of like client application that you pre-render on the server and then you hydrate on the client. It's a just server rendering. So I do server rendering, and I don't do server-side rendering of those JavaScript files, but I allow you to just like pass initial. Oh, thank you for the follow.
Duke is now following.
But I allow you to just like pass some initial like skeleton or whatnot that you want for your island to have like a better user experience. And I think that's kind of it. So what my plan? Oh yeah. So I ran some performance stuff. It's like it's not perfect. I'm downloading like React and all that stuff from CTN. I don't have bundler or tree shaking or whatnot, but it's just like a challenge. Can I do it this way? And you kind of can. It's not. I haven't optimized those numbers, but it's kind of like good enough, especially for the size of this page, right? So what I started doing is when React initially started talking about React Server components, when they had like .server and .client file names and all that stuff. This is the application that they gave. It wasn't using Next. It was like kind of like from scratch, right? And it's not using like real navigation, real router and all that stuff, but it was like, hey, there's an application that can work in this kind of like new system. And I wanted to do this application. I didn't have time to finish it. So I still have like some pieces of it, but like not the whole thing. So when I refresh this page, if I disable JavaScript, you see that like this button is rendered, even though it's a client component, and like this input is rendered. If I enable JavaScript now, you see that like after hydration, it like changed. And if I go to components, I can see that it's like, hey, this is the edit button. This is like the island thing that I have, and this is all of that stuff. So I can technically try to find a way to like server-side render all of this stuff. I have streaming as well. It's not like good streaming, but it's streaming. So you can make sure that like if your JavaScript is slow, maybe just like stream the results. I don't know. And I'm not that interested in that part of it, but this section with stuff, it's like it's streaming in. And I made it so that like the longer string you type, the slower the response is. So if you refresh this one, okay, I think this one is pretty fast still. But if you refresh it, like all of this is hydrated, but you're still streaming the results from the database. So you can play around and build kind of like somewhat nice experiences, even though like we're not doing like 99% of like what next.js does or something like that. And so this string, for example, it comes from the server and it has like the text that server seen. So when I change values here, it will go to the server to ask for like a new server page, and it will replace data from server page while preserving all the kind of like client stuff as well. So then the kind of like the last missing piece that I have here is server actions. The demo didn't have server actions, by the way, but I want to have them. And so the first part that I started is that I have like a fallback where if I have no JavaScript, right, and if I type something in this form, I can submit it, and it will go to the server. And okay, so I'm using the real one, but it will just like console log on the server. It doesn't do anything yet, but presumably if you have some database action, right, that can like write something to the database, then when you re-render on the server, I don't do caching. So like in next.js, when you do server actions, you by default will get like exactly the same page as you had before, unless you like invalidate some caches. My thing will redo everything, and if you didn't change something in action, well, then you just get the same page. But so like I'm doing more work, but I'm not introducing caches, and I'm not even exactly sure how you do caches in in Go yet. So this is what I did. And again, it's like it's not perfect. I didn't spend any time to like make it look good, but it's working, and it's doing again like 1% of what Next does. So yeah, so let's go and look a bit more into into this. So right now, if I type something and I submit it, I get somewhere here. Yeah, I get like, hey, I got this form and this is the text. So I can technically go and say that, I don't know, like here where we have this URL, can I find by this smiley face? Probably not. Yeah, so let's say that here I have like a last form, something like that. And this last form is going to be just a string, and where I have server actions, which is here, I can say that last form is, yeah, just like some new data. And so I've sent something, and it showed that data. And if I say 111.222, then I see 11222, right? So like this action actually affected the like some server state, and we got it. At this point, you're like, can I do that in HTMX? Yes, you can. Sure. So now, but I also can like pass that to a client component, right? And it could be there could be like a client component that just gets this as a prop. So the next part that I want to do is in React, what you can do is inside of the server components, you can do like client component on I don't know, create equals on create, and on create is const. I mean, it's probably like a function this, and then you do use server, and then you can like work on your action. So I want to do that. So I want to be able to pass callbacks to client components, and I'm actually already started doing that. So when I have this submit button, I'm actually getting some props, and so one of those props is this like action, but it doesn't do anything yet. So in order for it to do something, I have this function that can turn it basically, when I have like an object in Go, I need to serialize it to JSON so that I can later on get that JSON and turn it into like an object on the client side. So I can serialize client islands. I can serialize suspense and like streams and all that stuff. And so here I want to serialize this. I want to serialize this action. So the difference between promises is that promises just like, hey, here we have a promise. It will eventually be resolved. But action is, here's the thing. Once I call it, it will return the promise. Oh, I have hi's in the chat. Hi. I don't know how much of that you heard, but we are working on React Server Components framework that is using Go instead of React or like React or JavaScript on the server. So our client components are still in JavaScript. So like it's not like Wasm or something like that. It's still just like regular React, but for our backend, we're using Go. And if I had more time, I wanted to try to like port it to Rust or Zig or something like that to play with like performance and stuff. Yeah, I didn't have time. Okay, so there, this is where we do stuff. So we can say that if I have this object, which is strike action, I can do stuff to it. So one of the like more one of the crazier things that I do is like I promisify thing, and I'm going to say that I'm actionify parent, and it's going to be similar to promisify, and yeah, and also yeah, I guess yeah, I don't actually need to. So for promisify, I did this promise. What's that? Yeah, so I have like a promise cache. I should probably have server action effect cache as well, but I'm not going to. So, and yeah, so I have permissify, and I'm going to have actionify this, and then yeah. Then the idea is that I have this, and it is proxy. Okay, so far so good. Yeah, if then, okay, catch, okay, finally, okay, promise, okay. Okay, it's not going like where I need it to go, but yeah, okay. So let's just say that it's a test equals 1, 2, 3. That's going to be our actionify thing. So when I reload, I have this. I should probably go and like props.myAct. This is like the first step into making it fully work as a server action, to be able to pass it as a prop. So right now, it's strike action, and it has the ID and it has something. So what it has to be, like this object needs to be a function. And I'm not sure I can actually do that with my API, but let's just say that object equals a function. So what's going to happen if I do this? Yeah, it doesn't know how to do that. Okay. So how do I turn exist? How do I make existing value opt equals x1 to 3 into a callable function? So I can do opt. Yeah, set prototype of. Okay. Okay, so make callable. Well, make a function. Yeah, it returns the wrong thing. This is not the way that. No. Okay, so you are here calling callable object instead of object. Yeah. Yeah, I want to make object callable. So move all the properties. Yes. Yes. Okay, this is better. Okay, so let's just copy that and figure out which part of that will actually be working. Okay, so I'm already in make callable, so you don't need any of that stuff. And okay, so it's object instead of opt. Okay, I can leave it that for a second. I mean, can I? Okay, I can just do this. Yep. Yeah, so what's happening? Why is it red? Duplicate identifier. Yeah, I don't want to duplicate identifier. Why is it duplicate? Yeah, don't do this. So now, yeah, so let's see how far we can get from this one. Okay, still a function. Okay, so, but can I call it? It has like type of object. Okay, and if I call it, it's not a function. Okay. What about call? Yeah, it didn't do that. Move all properties from original object to the callable object. Okay. Move all properties from callable object back to the object. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so what about toString? toString. Yeah, it's native toString. Okay. So why aren't you working? Right, so 1, 2, 3 worked, right? So this part worked. Yeah, so this part works. Oh, here's your problem. Okay, so a lot more has happened now. So can I call it? It's not a function. Okay, but dot call is a function. Call is not a function. What is it then? Okay, interesting. So it's like a good. It's going like in a good direction, but it still doesn't work. Yeah, so let's say on code. Okay, to use proxy. Okay, but still, it's not what I want. I wonder if I should just like bind it or something. This always helps. Okay, so yeah, it's interesting that like the type is function. So yeah, okay, there's not a function here. Type of yeah, it's the object here. This is unfortunate. Yes, so I need this API because that's how props work right now. Otherwise, I would have to have like a separate step to fix those things. So like inside of Strike Island, I might go with like, hey, make things callable. This is where like next.js comes into play. So they have this action server something create server reference. Is that it? Yeah. So it returns a proxy, and that proxy is a function, but this function yeah, I guess it's just a cache. I don't have to do that. So it returns a function, and I don't have like a clear idea where this code is called. So yeah. Yeah, this is slightly unfortunate. Because um, it worked with promises. I was able to make it as a promise. Yeah, but here it would have to be, yeah, it would have to be, I guess. Yeah, set prototype off. Yeah, I don't know how to like Google for that either. So this is what we're going for. Okay, so we can do like object dot action equals function, right? So we can do that. And while it's unfortunate, I can actually call it, and yes, I can pass values as well, right? So in terms of what it needs to do, it just calls server and returns a promise. Yeah, and I guess you can't call it multiple times, or I just don't know where cache comes into play. Like, why do you need cache? But hey. So one other thing is that we need to connect it to router somehow, because router needs to know when we get the response. And maybe that's where like filtering it with context is needed, but we're not there yet. So okay, so where are we? So let's just say that we will keep it like that. And so we have this action, right? So now inside of this button, I can return button, and that button could have on click, which is so it's my action dot action, which is kind of like, if that thing could have worked, this would be the difference, right? Do you do that action or do you just do action? Which is fine, but it would be cool. Okay, so do that, and it's empty for some reason. Why would it be empty? All right, so it's children this. Okay, so I have the submit button. Okay, still submitted. So I guess it needs to be prevent default and then call an action. Yep. Okay, so we can call action now. So when you call an action, you can actually send any data from yeah, I think so. So if I have an action, okay, I don't know if they have those examples, but your action can get like any data, but because we have this serialization problem with Go and in React, we we need to find some other way, because it's like we can't make sure that it's like types if and all that stuff. Oh, I have someone in chat. Hey, sup? Yeah. So I'm working on my framework that allows me to use React Server components with Go backend instead of JavaScript, and I'm working on like forms. So I have some data and I want to send a form for that. So what we can do is we can enforce that this has to be form data. So we can say if okay, check if it's form data. Okay, I'm not sure that's the best way. If form data instance of form data, I think that's where I want to do. So it could be like undefined or form data. Yeah, I think that's the idea. So if we have form data and it's form data, then we do something. Otherwise, we say, yeah, so form data is not undefined. Okay, I have one more subscriber from YouTube. I think it was Camille. I don't. I didn't see that stuff too well. Okay. So we allow and define console error action can only accept form data. Okay, so that's the plan. I'm new to this. Any common bugs you find usually? Okay, define this. What is the, what are we talking about? Okay, so this didn't work, but the undefined didn't work either. So we should be, yeah. So if I send like this, yeah, action can only accept form data. Okay. So now, now let's say form, and yeah, so it's yeah, wonder if that will work. Yeah, so we actually sent sent the data. So we have this action ID thing, which is not the right thing because that worm already has an action, but this is like other action. So this is going to be a bit tricky. I was looking like how Next does it, but I think I just like saved it somewhere. Yeah. So one of those is, yeah, I think this is like the form without JavaScript, and this is the form with JavaScript. Yeah. It also sends a reference. I don't know if we need the reference, but hey. Okay. So we have some stuff working. So I can send some data on the server, and I mean, I'm not sending it to the server yet, right? That's the issue. I want to figure out how I'm going to do that. So this is the part that like turns it into a function. But we also have router, and the router we probably need to connect it to router somehow. So the router is the thing that creates context. Right. Right, so when we call chunks to JSX, that's where we connect stuff. And I mean, okay, so why do I need to connect it to the router? I want, yeah, so I have this like fetch client JSX. And yes, right now context is limited to the request. So that like if I have promise number 3, it could only happen inside of like that request. And here I'm talking about getting new data when stuff is changing. Okay, this is a bit confusing. Yeah, and especially because okay. So I have this right now. So this is the request that I did, and this request is a cache from URL in a key, and now I want to make a new fetch that is going to be sending some data. And it needs to do like post and stuff. Okay, this is tricky. And I can't use cache because that's going to be like that's going to have side effects. So yeah, I can't use initial JSX. Okay, this is like much more difficult than I was thinking about. Okay. So let's start simple. Let's just call that fetch. Yeah, I guess we don't know the URL. Um, but it is kind of global. We don't have to know it. It's just tricky. Okay. So I have this RSC component and I pass it all of this stuff. Yeah, so I was going to make like a router, some kind of like global value so that I can talk to it. And I actually have this global value of RSC now. What I can do is I can create new global thing that's going to be like RSC action, for example, and it doesn't have href. That's because it's limited to the current page, I guess. Otherwise, our form stuff is not going to work. But I guess it could. Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, so I can do this. Okay, this is not the worst idea. This is not completely the worst idea, right? Yeah, I wonder how huh. I didn't know that it's going to be more difficult to send the form and navigate compared to just sending the form. Didn't know that that's how it works. Okay. So then how do I know if the action wants to reload the page? Okay, so we need to do a bit of next.js to understand how it works. So I have this web app that I wrote in Next, and so right now, if I send something, it will get the request and uh, okay, and there is like no data. Okay, so now So what page is that? This page. So now I call create and I return some data. I don't see the return here, but okay, let's imagine that it did return. So now I can also like reload or refresh. What's invalidate? Redirect. Yeah, there's redirect. And revalidate path. Yeah, so I can also do this. And the revalidate path is from cache. Okay, so I can do this. Now, if I send my data, it returns JSX. Okay, it's not what I was thinking. Right, so, but on this page, I'm actually calling it manually. And so if we revalidate here, what is getting sent here? Okay, so I click on it. Okay, nothing happens. Why nothing happens? So have this. Right, but test does. Okay, it just console logs it, I guess. And yeah, prop. Okay, so it's a function, and now I call this function. Cannot read undefined. Right, so it needs a form, new form. Attempting to use disconnected. Okay, not sure what's happening here. Okay, cool. So now I sent this, and I've been returning like 1, 2, 3 here. And yeah, so I do get it back, but I also get everything else back. This is interesting. Yeah, and it's like it's something 1 K1 or something. Maybe this one. Yeah, prop. Yeah, this is a function. Title. Yeah, I only see this one. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so it's possible to return both of them. Okay, so the idea is that my my action here should be streaming responses, and one of the responses is the action is a return from action. Okay, and then again, how do I serialize it? Okay. So if we go to our application and we register our actions, and we already have this post stuff, and it already does our action. So the difference is that we're not getting, we should be getting like a response from it. So action function right now returns any or error. So data error and the data. So our like fake action returns echo stuff and error. Okay. So let's send it. Okay, it's not sending it because I do prevent default. Go back here. So get rid of prevent default. Send something. And then our action returns our echo stuff. So I need to add that echo stuff to my object that I'm streaming. The similar way how I'm resolving resolving promises. So whenever I have this get chunk stuff, yeah, that it could be promise, I guess. I just don't know how to. I just don't know how to put it. Right. So have promise and I have context. Yeah, if I use the same promise, right? So the thing, could I stream actions? I guess that's I guess that's an interesting thing I haven't thought about. I guess I could, right? So action could be returning a promise. It's easier to think about it as okay. This is getting interesting. So instead of returning this, I could be returning, yeah, yeah. Is it part of the tree though? It's technically not. But how do I put it and stuff? Yeah, so right now I'm returning a string. Like what is I could be returning a promise here. Right? So how do I know I don't know which one is related to what. Right, so I have to be waiting for it here. Yeah, so we can leave the promise stuff for later. So I have to be waiting for this, and I need to. Okay, it is pretty tricky. So I want to send it. Yeah, it could be like some kind of like named promise. So I need to send it. And can I send a promise of promise? Is that how they do their like infinite scrolling stuff? Okay. Okay. So it looks like it's entirely possible that I'm not getting any of this stuff working, which is unfortunate. Uh, so so that's the part where we get whether we get the response from the action. So if action is just not is not just the uh, yeah, okay. So here are like a few problems. So one option is that actions are blocking server and you re-render the page. So you don't care what action returns, you only care that it reloads the page. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think having actions that just return JSON or whatnot is a cool way of doing stuff, but we can do that. Um, so basically, action needs to return like, hey, do you want me to stream the page or do you want me just to return some data? I will go for a simpler approach of just actions always return the page, and maybe I can later on add a way of just like returning empty page. So it's like if it's empty, then don't re-render or something like that. Yeah. So now if every action is, so in our case, we want to like see updates here, right? We want to write something here and we want to see a new page. So we will ignore that actions return data. We will ignore data return from action. We want to be able to stream the data back to the action function. Okay, so we simplifying it here. I guess it's more like a fix me. So we're simplifying it here, and then we just re-render the whole page. The problem is that the thing that gets the whole page is navigation right now, and navigation set router to this. It's kind of possible that our change route state function is returning href is initial this, key this, and form data. So form data is form data or undefined. And then our route state is this. Okay, so this is change route state and undefined. And when we do action, we right, it doesn't push state because we don't want href, we just want the form. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, but you need to know the old one, right? For this to work. Okay, so So it's not navigate. It's it's submit form. And so then it just has form data. Right. Yeah, the tricky part, yeah, I guess it always has to have form data. This is slightly stupid. Okay. Right. So what we do here is we use set router like a full form, and we do x.ref and probably new key and form data. Okay, I think that's the plan, to preserve URL and update other stuff. Okay, so then it's submit form. Okay, so RSC action, and okay, so what I do if no one sends yeah, if this form is form undefined. Right, so I can issue an action without a form, and it's without the form here, but I want this one to have so maybe it's like is initial and form action or something. Okay, so form action. Yeah, I need to know the yeah, this data. Okay. Yeah, so this or undefined. So this one is form action undefined, form data undefined. And here, okay, so here I'm doing it without this, and I'm just doing undefined as well. Okay, and so this is that. Okay, what's happening? So, right, so, yes. Yeah, so change, change route state for action. And then it's yeah, it's all of this and form data, form data. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, I need action as well. Oops. Form action. Yeah, so we need to have form action. Otherwise, it's not. We will not know what URL to basically send it to, and okay. So form action, form data, form action, form data. Okay. So now I call this. I preserve URL. It's not initial. It's a new key, and it's a form action and form data. Okay. Yeah, my set router is, yeah, the function's not typed correctly, but I'm not going to fix that now. And so have form action from data. So that should be good somewhat. So when I do submit form, I'm missing form action. Form action. Okay. Okay, so it has to be string here. Okay. And yeah, so RSC action should have action string as well. Okay. So let's refresh. Should have this. So it's test 1, 2, 3. Oh, and no form. Okay. And it will actually do the action. And in this. Yeah. So it's using get right now, but this is what we were fixing. So this is where, yeah, so we set it here. So now where we do RSC component, we are passing like all of this stuff. And so we should be passing form action and form data. So form action, form data. And now what is happening is that if form action, then return hello. Okay, so we refresh it, and now we do, and then we submit a form. Everything is destroyed. Go. So what's happening here is that okay, so we should be, yeah. I guess I'm not going to do that. I guess I'm not going to do that properly. I'm going to do this not properly. So I'm going to send, yeah, so I can do this, right? So I have this thing, and like I send it, and it's going to refresh it. But now I want to do yeah, I think I will just copy paste it. This feels right for some reason. So it's going to be not fetch client JSX, but it's going to be fetch client JSX from action. And it's going to be here. And well, technically, yeah. So it's going to be form action, form data. So I just do form action, form data here. And I do fetch method post, and I do body form data, and I do content type this. Okay, so it's not the content type that we used for the other one. So let me think. It was CT encoding something. Okay, let me quickly. Yeah, so it's in the form tag. Yeah, multi-part form data. Multiple form data using fetch. So new form, body form data. Okay. Make sure to not send content. Okay, interesting. So yeah, let's try that, I guess. So we do form data. So it's possible that form data is undefined. And let's see if that affects anything. So I'm here and I refresh and I send it again. Okay, undefined is not a valid JSON. Okay, so that's for the stuff that we got in response, right? And we got post, and that post didn't have any, yeah, it didn't have any form data. So now I do new form data, and it's like x123. Something like that? No. Uh, form data from object. Okay, all of them are doing append or element. Okay, it has to be form element. Okay, this seems silly. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. Okay, so we do need form data though, right? We need to set action. So we're going to say that form is form data from form data, and need to remove actions from it somehow if it already has an action. Okay, this is tricky. Okay, so what do we send here? Okay, we send the empty form, which is okay. So what do we send here? I need to do prevent default stuff. Yeah, so let's do prevent default. Right, so, and this is my action. So where I have action, I'm going to yeah, have action ID this. Okay, it's actually not the best. Okay. Why is everything so complicated? No, that's not it. I need object. Yeah. Yeah, so object has ID. Yeah, this is what I need. Okay, so we're going to say that here we're going to RSC action, object ID, and form data. Actually, I can just form data. Yep. I don't need anything like that. And the okay, so if it is undefined, I can just do this, and else this is the warning that I want to show. Okay. Yep. So let's do this. Let's send it, and it actually tried to send it. So what is our payload? It's not much yet. Okay, let's fix that. So we're fixing. Okay, so what are we fixing? So I send RSC action, and I send submit form, and it did all of this stuff. So where I have router, where I have fetch this stuff, I wanna. This seems to have evolved quite a bit. Well, yeah, this was supposed to be like the easy integration, right? Without using any dependencies, and it's going fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, so I'm writing some data, I'm posting it, and URL is right, correct. Like this action is, all of this is correct. I have this form data. I'm not sure if that's the right one. Get all. Oh yeah, it needs to have whatever name. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm like sending the data correctly, but let's ignore that for a second. So we're going to say that form append so where I consume form, I'm looking for action with AD. So let's append action plus form action, and the key, we don't need the key. Okay, so let's try again. And let's see the network. What did you send? Oops, didn't work. Okay, can I do 1, 2, 3 here? Okay. Is it actually working? What's happening? Okay, we're not sending anything. Oh yeah. Okay, so we broke this one. Okay. Oh, what did I see? I see 1, 2, 3, right? So instead of this, I see 1, 2, 3. So I didn't have to see 1, 2, 3. It should be like just the empty string as it was before. So now this test. So how do I? So I want to do. I want to go through original ones, and if key starts with action ID, we want to remove it. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? just let me know. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Uh, almost in time. Okay. This is great. This is it went swimmingly. Hello, chat. Now we see hello, chat here. While still preserving all the client state and stuff, right? We can send the new server props from actions while preserving all the other stuff. We don't get when we do action, right? We can send something to action, but we can't get anything in response. And right, and I don't like that it has to be action.action. That's unfortunately how it is. And right, so one other thing is that so right now it all happens inside of the right. So I don't get the promise here. Like I don't know when this is going to be resolved, so I can't like wait for it to be resolved. So I can't set, hey, this is like pending. The idea is the following: where I have my form. So this is like me click on this button. The way that it should work is that when I have a form, where's the form? Yeah. So when I have a form, and this form has an action set to it. So right now, this is the part that works. Like I can pass action as a prop. It kind of works, right? I can pass action as a prop, but it also should work if I remove that, right? So if I remove that, and if I do this, it should take the action from form, and I don't know how to write that transform really. So what I can do is so right now I'm removing it's not actions, it's form go. So right now I'm removing my action prop. So if I don't remove it, okay, what happened? This is not what should have happened. Yeah, the error messages are not great. So we could not convert prop action to string. I mean, what are we going to? Yeah. Oops, where am I? Here. Yeah, so I can't like explain to React that it needs to capture that fetch. So yeah, so one thing is that I can just write like a submit button with all of this stuff. But what it should do in React, I should be able to just like find all the forms that have actions on them and just use just wrap it somehow. So I can write my like form component on client, and I can do so right now I have like a button here, right? What I can do is I can return JSX form, and if that form has action, I can pass this as action, and it will work, kind of. Okay, doesn't work right now. Why is it not working right now? Yeah, the syntax error. Okay, so I have this. What's going on? Cannot read properties of undefined while reading action. Okay, if I do something like this. Okay, that's confusing. But yeah, so I can do something like this, but I want to find a way so that I can do it automatically. So if I do it automatically, then just by writing the form action, I'm getting forms that have client-side submission without islands, right? So right now I need to have the submit button island for this to work. And if I can find a way to create forms and pass them action functions, then it will work without that. It's not a huge deal, but it's definitely something that I want to do. Unfortunately, I'm all out of time, and yeah, we're going to stop on this. And again, the idea is that if I disable JavaScript, and if I write something, I can still get it to respond. If I enable JavaScript, I can get the same. I wrote the same thing twice. Yeah. And this one is like nicer, right? But the other one has progressive enhancements, kind of like story behind it. Okay, I'm out of time. I have like one more question. As you write PHP, I mean, yeah, PHP is a thing. Someone needs to. I made this joke about like Lambos and PHP, and I was thinking I should just create a table of just like all the languages and like how many Lambos did they get, right? And it's just like sorted by marketing guys like WordPress. Yeah, I hope something like Builder or Make Swift. I was interviewing. Oops, my Google died. I was interviewing with those guys. They're doing like similar, like web builder thing, but it backed by React. Okay, thanks everyone who was hanging out. This is going to be the last part of this series. I will try to make it work, and I will probably publish like short videos, like hopefully like 5 minutes, just like showcasing that it works. And I'm probably not going to stream about it anymore. So yeah, if you want to watch streams, yeah, just like watch 6 parts of me doing all of this.